It seemed like the physicality was pretty evident in the scrimmage. How much did you guys want to get after it, and how important is that to this type of camp?
Yeah, I think the physicality comes with the intensities of this camp. It's really tough when you practice and then go play a team that has warmed up and has been preparing for the game. So they have a lot more control of the puck. But I think that's something that goes to the work ethic of this team, and the physicality just comes with it, and battling for pucks. And I don't think it's just the hitting. I think it's the stick battles. I think it's guys wanting to compete, and that's one thing that this camp helps you get ready for the season.
Are you a big believer in setting the tone? It seemed like during the road test, you go out very hard. It's kind of almost like showing guys like, hey, you got to go hard on this. You hit a lot in the games and bring up the intensity. Is that kind of important for you to be a tone setter?
I think that may be part of my role without labeling it with anything. This camp, you have to come in good shape, and everyone puts the work in the summer. So it's a put your head down and work with the guy next to you. Kind of commiserate on how tough it is and bond together. And so I think there's a lot of guys that I think you can look out the window now. It's tough, and they're working their butts off.
Last year, a lot of the guys were pretty open about the fact that the room sort of used the outside doubters as fuel, as to we want to prove we're a good team. This year it's a little bit different. I think everybody pretty much agrees you guys are a good team. Where you guys are going to finish, not sure, but that you guys are not going to be at the bottom of the league. Are you getting the sense that there's maybe a different narrative in that room that might fuel you guys this year in the same way that one did last year?
That's a tough one. I think initially, you hear that outside noise, and that's one thing that maybe motivated us. But like you said, you don't know where you're going to finish any year. That's why you play 82 games, right? You could have the best team on paper and then it not work out. So I think we, in a sense, overachieved on outside perspective on how you guys thought we would do. That's a collective, not just you. And I think we're going into this year saying, hey, it's the same thing. I don't think it was you guys saying, you're not going to play well, that's why we played well. We took a step forward, and we have to have the same mentality this year of we have to get better every day. And that's how we're going to compete. That's how we're going to take steps. And I can't tell you what's going to happen over 82 games, but if you continue to have this work ethic, you go into every day trying to get better, and competing with the guy next to you off the ice, on the ice. I think that's where you take the strides to get better as a team.
Have you sensed that as a group the team's a little bit more intense this year? And that's what Torts was saying yesterday, was he thought maybe the first couple scrimmages, the intensity level actually has risen from this time last year.
Yeah, I think maybe that's it's tough to remember 365 days ago, but I think we have a really similar group that we had last year, in the sense of guys know what to expect. Or you talk to Jamie or EJ, right? Like, they hadn't gone through the camp and they asked questions. They got ready to see what we're going to go through and how competitive it is. And I think that's what you're going to see from this team. It's throughout the year. It's going to be nice, I think, when we get together in the same locker room, and we have that team to build the camaraderie rather than going against each other in these scrimmages. But yeah, I think it's you can't compare the years, but right now it looks like a team that's competing, a whole organization that's trying to get better.
We haven't spoken to you since you underwent the rope test. You mentioned it even at the end of your end of season talk last year. How'd it go?
I don't know. I finished it, and I think that's how we look at it, right? It's on paper maybe the hardest one out there. It's certainly one of the more difficult tests that I've done. It's tough, but I think everyone's talked about it. It's that camaraderie that builds the guys together. The practice yesterday was no joke. And then the scrimmages today, it doesn't stop. And hopefully you see that intensity continue to grow, and just take that mentality of getting better and competing. And that's what we're trying to bring together.
When Matthew was here, he mentioned how, like, having...
Sorry, who?
Matt Bamishkov.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
When he brought up, like, that the hard practices help with the games, Is that how you see it too, where as you train even harder in the practice and it hopefully makes the games a little bit easier? Not easy, I don't know.
Yeah. No, I think in the sense when we start playing other teams, other organizations, this league has no mercy. It doesn't care how hard your camp was or how easy it was. Every team is trying to get 2 points, and the way we're gonna win games is our conditioning, our compete level. I think that's a lot of the same that you saw last year. That's how we've built our team, and I think in conjunction with that, it's guys taking steps forward, guys who took steps forwards last year, and who we need to continue to grow as players. And you can see the work ethics put in. Now it's just going in with that mentality day in and day out.
You mentioned Eric Johnson a couple of minutes ago. When we talked to him a few days ago, he said that one of the reasons why he doesn't see this group slipping, into bad habits is, he walks in. You guys are supposed to be here at 8 a.m. say, and he sees people here 2 hours early. That kind of mentality, does that come from like the top, that the leaders do it and then everybody sees it, or is that just you guys as a group are pretty self-motivated already?
I want to say it's both. I mean, it comes from EJ too, right? Like he's been in the league for a long time. He's seen a lot. He's won. He knows what it takes. And then you have our leadership group. You look at Coots, who's been here. He knows what it takes. And then you get guys with the same mentality that want it too. I don't think Coots has ever had to tell anyone to show up or say, hey, be like me, get here and get ready and be prepared. It's those guys taking the initiative to do it. And I think that's why they've taken steps forward. And like EJ said, why it looks like they're in the path to do that same thing. But time will tell.
Garnet, you did the broadcasting clinic over the summer. Has that changed your perspective on any of the behind-the-scenes stuff, or even a session like this?
Yeah, how you guys ask the questions. What you're going for, what you really want to hear. No, it was awesome. I'm really glad that, I was able to do it, that the league put it on, and that the guys who went were super interested. And I mean, I was there with EJ, and it was fun to see him this summer. And then the staff, the broadcasters, everyone behind the scenes who took the time to teach us. It's something that I think gave me a different perspective on a lot of things, how they prepare for the games, what notes you guys look at, what notes they look at. But I'll just keep that in my back pocket for a little later, I think.
With a guy like Nick Delory, I think some people wonder, he'll be the 12th forward, maybe he'll have to sit from time to time, but he looked really good in the scrimmage, couple goals, and he's hitting everything. Is he a guy like to make sure like you don't forget, like us, we should not forget, like he's going to play games?
I would never count Nick out of anything. He doesn't count himself out, and I don't think anyone in that room does either. He's a big part of our team, and he shows it out there. I think he has more to give than people give him credit for, and I was glad to see him do well today, and I'm not surprised by it.
Just real quick, you were playing with Nick and Ryan Paling. I know obviously line combinations are a little early still, but how good was it just have the PhD line back together?
Yeah, it's. I think it's the chemistry, right? You look at these scrimmages, and it's more. We haven't had a practice with systems. We've sat down on small details for video, but we haven't locked in on what to do in every specific situation, and it's a little disorganized. So to have that familiarity is really nice, and I really enjoyed playing with him. So it worked out, and Nick had a great day too.